All offseason, we've been talking about the 49ers offensive line as one of the big blemishes and weaknesses on this roster. So on today's show, could help be on the way at right tackle? And could the Niners, prior to the start of the regular season, make a trade for this guy? That's coming up on today's San Francisco 49ers report. First, though, because the Niners are taking on the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday in preseason game number 1, we're going to be doing a watch party for it right here on the show. We're having a sub-battle between both of these channels, the Raiders Report and the 49ers Report. Let's beat the Raiders on the field and inside the walls here at Chat Sports. Hit that sub button right now. Okay, so could the Niners secure the right side of this offensive line? Let's talk about it here. Bleacher Report linking the San Francisco 49ers to Packers swing tackle Yash Nyman. That is the proper pronunciation. A lot of people haven't heard of this player before, but he's actually a pretty intriguing player because he can play both right tackle and left tackle. Insight on Yash, good name by the way, 27 years old. He is a massive human being. 6'7", 314 pounds. He played his college football at Virginia Tech. He went undrafted in 2019, but the development that's taken place for him over the last few years has been pretty impressive, to the point where he's played in 50 games for an organization that always prioritizes offensive linemen and does a good job of developing offensive linemen. That includes 21 starts. Those starts coming spread over the last 2 years. I like the versatility that he has because if he's not a starter, he can be a backup swing tackle where he can fill in at left tackle, fill in at right tackle. If play is subpar, from a Colton McKivitz, of course, or if a Trent Williams goes down, you can plug him in over there to protect the blind side for whichever quarterback San Francisco decides to go with. Looks as though it is going to be obviously Brock Purdy, as we've talked about. Nyman's Pro Football Focus grades last year, he was able to tally a lot of playing time. David Bakhtiari hurt a lot over the last couple of years after signing that big contract with Green Bay. So for Nyman, he's been able to see a lot of action. 756 snaps, 448 pass blocking snaps, 308 run blocking snaps, 10 penalties, not great, 5 sacks allowed, not elite by any means. 1 hit allowed, not bad. Pressures allowed, 28. So that number a little bit high. Overall Pro Football Focus grade of 63.1. A pass blocking grade of 74.4. And why Kyle Shanahan might not want to make this move or might have reservations in trading for a player like this, run blocking grade of 54.1. I will say, though, San Francisco does a really good job of developing offensive linemen, and it's a system that allows offensive linemen to be successful, so maybe Nyman would be able to elevate his play. Here's a snippet from that Bleacher Report article on him. The Niners bid adieu to Mike McGlinchey and are pretty much rolling with Colton McKivitz to take over that role. It's a gamble given McKivitz's lack of experience. He has played just 138 offensive snaps over the last 2 years. If McKivitz doesn't look like the guy in training camp, then it might be time to explore outside options. Yash Nyman would make a lot of sense as a target. Unlike McKivitz, Nyman has been a starter in the league. He worked his way from being an undrafted free agent to start at both left and right tackle for the Packers in 21 games over the last 2 years. Even if he doesn't work out as a starter, worst case scenario, you get a swing tackle who can play on both sides of the line of scrimmage. That's really valuable. Word is so far is that Colton McKivitz has looked the part. Now, the Niners will leave for Las Vegas on Wednesday. Joint practices and scrimmages against the Raiders on Thursday and Friday in the lead-up to that preseason game on Sunday. Big test coming up for McKivitz as we record this on Tuesday because he's going to be matched up against Max Crosby. If he struggles there, struggles throughout the preseason, the Niners could look for an upgrade at right tackle, although, up to this point, McKivitz has looked the part. Do the Niners need a trade for a right tackle? You let me know down in the comment section here as you kind of evaluate this roster. T for trade, S for stand pat. What do you think? This deal, thanks to our friends at Fanatics, is awesome. This 49er shirt was $40, now on sale for just $30, limited time only. Get it now and get geared up for the regular season. Chatsports.com/NinersT. That link is down in the comments section and in the description of this video. Let's start to take some of your questions and super chats here. Kazoski Sanders, a first-time super chatter, ready to get this season started. Bang, bang, Niner gang, 49ers for life. The season, in a way, is already underway. Training camp, couple of weeks in already. Preseason game on Sunday. Regular season going to be here before we know it. And I cannot wait either, Kazoski. Thank you so much for your support of the show. Jerpy Sports coming in with this one. A cool trade that would be cool is if we trade Trey Lance for Mike Evans. It won't happen, but it would be cool. It won't happen for a couple of reasons. That's not equal value for Tampa Bay because Mike Evans, every year he's been in the league, I believe, has had 1,000 yards. He's one of the best wide receivers in the game and is really putting together a special Hall of Fame career. The money also doesn't match up between Mike Evans and Trey Lance. Tampa Bay might be a destination for Lance if the Niners were to trade him after a couple of good preseason performances because Tampa Bay is looking for a quarterback, and right now it's a competition between Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask, but not equal value. Plus, you don't really need Mike Evans on this roster with Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey as a receiving threat. Mr. Black Ice, what do you want to see as far as this preseason game? This ain't a normal game. It's the Raiders versus Niners game. And gang. Yeah, Mr. Black Ice, I can't wait for it. Here are a couple of players that I'm really looking forward to watching against the Raiders. Deshaun Jameson, UDFA cornerback out of Texas, has been playing really well. Jair Brown, the safety out of Penn State. D. Winters, Jalen Graham, the two late-round rookie linebackers. Trey Lance, of course, as well. And if you want to go to that Trey Lance graphic trace, we have that in the chamber as well, because there are a couple of things that I'm really looking forward to with Lance here. He has changed and overhauled his mechanics. He worked with Jeff Christensen this offseason, went on his own to do that. And Jeff Christensen, the private throwing coach for Patrick Mahomes. So Lance was able to work with him as well as Mahomes, and he did change his mechanics. The release is quicker, faster, more fluid, more concise, and cleaner. That's really what it comes down to. And with that, has it led to Lance throwing tighter spirals? Because last year, he was throwing a lot of wobbly passes. This year, almost every throw is that tight spiral. And a really difficult thing to do as a wide receiver is to catch a ball with a lot of velocity, because Lance does put a lot of velo behind the ball when it's wobbly. It's very difficult to do that. I don't care if you're Jerry Rice. So he certainly worked on that. The footwork in the lower half has been cleaned up a little bit. Can he hit the layups? That's one of the things that I want to see from Lance. Can he make the consistently easy throws? Because we know he brings that explosive element to the field. I'm also interested to see in a preseason game, is Kyle Shanahan going to call any runs? Because up until Monday's practice, the Niners had called no quarterback draws. And what Lance needs? Extended action. So I hope he gets it, because he needs reps, because he's such a young and inexperienced player. Drippy Sports, any news on Brock Purdy? We covered this on Monday's show. Purdy is not expected to play against the Raiders. He is expected to get reps in some of these joint practices, though, all throughout this week against Las Vegas as well. Draco, they just released the depth chart. Yes, they did. And Trace is doing a great job of actually popping it up here. Of note for San Francisco here, we could take a look at the actual long view Trace like this one, and then the zoomed in version. I like what you had because it zoomed in on the quarterback situation. And here's how the Niners have it listed. Brock Purdy as quarterback 1, and then it's Trey Lance or Sam Darnold as QB2, and then Brandon Allen after those players. So that is the Niners depth chart, the first one that the team has released. The website has released, not the coaching staff. The website has released, and the team, for that matter, in training camp up to this point. Draco, I appreciate that. You're kind of like your own content creator, helping us out here on the show. Logan, if the Niners do look for defensive end help, which veterans do you feel like we'll go after? There's a couple of options out there. A Chase Young trade would be one option, but but I think he's a little bit too expensive for the Niners' liking, and he's also entering the final year of his deal. Justin Houston is off the market, so you can't sign him anymore. I wanted the Niners to sign Yannick Ngakoue. He went to the Chicago Bears. Melvin Ingram is out there. Jadeveon Clowney is out there. So those are the types of players that you're looking at this portion of the offseason. AJVHS, a $10 super chat. Yo, Chase, what's good, man? What's good, brother? Good to hear from you. Any chance Taco Charlton and Clelin Ferrell make the 53-man roster? Do you think Brock's season last year was a fluke? Lastly, what stat line are you looking for on Sunday from Lance? All right, let's tackle this section by section here. So I do think that Taco Charlton and Clelin Ferrell have an opportunity to make the roster, and this allows us to piggyback off that last question because I do have some concerns at the defensive end depth for San Francisco. Alex Barrett is a player who's been performing well in training camp, but he's a UDFA. Spencer Wagee is a player who has some buzz out of North Dakota State. He could play inside, outside. It's really going to be a big year for Drake Jackson, and he's looked good in camp. Did go off the practice field on Monday with an injury, so we'll continue to monitor that. If he doesn't step up, then it becomes an issue. Clelin Ferrell and Taco Charlton have had good training camps up to this point, but they've been busts and massive busts for a reason up to this point. Ferrell has like 10.5 sacks since getting drafted in 2019. Taco Charlton might have like 11.5 sacks. It's very close. The production has not been good from both of those players, but Chris Kocurek, while he's not a magician, he does a great job of maximizing players along that defensive line. Brock's season last year, was it a fluke? He did throw some passes that were interceptable, that were not actually picked off, and he has thrown a lot of picks in camp. Camp stats can be overrated, but for Brock, he might be attempting those throws in training camp to see if he can make them, and then in a regular game situation, he wouldn't. Where I do get concerned is Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles, two very good defenses last year in which Brock Purdy struggled against. Obviously, the Eagles game, a little bit of a asterisk there because he got hurt early. But in the first half of that Seahawks game, solid defense, he also struggled. Then for Lance, what am I looking for? I want to see him play the entire first half. And if Kyle Shanahan doesn't give him that leash, I think you're doing him a disservice, and you're doing your football team a disservice. If Brock Purdy gets hurt, Trey Lance is next in line, in my opinion. And he needs as many reps as possible. So let him get those reps. Sam Darnold and Brandon Allen are known commodities. Trey Lance has untapped potential. So if he can go and air it out like 17 times, go 10 of 17 with a touchdown or two, that'd be a big win for Trey Lance. Edgar Guerrero, a first-time super chatter, $10 coming in. What's the holdup with Bosa? Any chance in the world this deal doesn't get done? Go Niners. There's no chance that a deal does not get done, Edgar. It is going to get done. And I've remained adamant on that. What's the holdup on Nick Bosa? His agent represents Joe Burrow and Bosa, both players looking for lofty contracts. Burrow could become the richest quarterback in the history of the NFL, and then his other client, Nick Bosa, could become the richest defensive player in the history of the NFL. So the agent's going to get a nice little payout. There's also no rush here. Bosa doesn't need to be on the field to risk getting injured until he gets that deal. George Kittle, back in 2020, didn't sign until mid-August with that contract extension. So we're right at about that range. Here's what Kyle Shanahan had to say about Bosa. He's not concerned either. No, not at all, because I don't know if Bosa's ever done a training camp, and he has done pretty well. It's a little different when you're a defensive lineman. Everybody wants people here, but you want to do that stuff, but it doesn't affect the team as much from a defensive end standpoint. I have as much confidence in Nick as any player I've ever been around in terms of how he prepares and everything. I know they're going to get it right, both sides, and I'm excited when I do see him. And Shanahan, clearly, he said that on Monday, not concerned. The point that I've also made, Nick Bosa is a great athlete. He cares about his body, takes great care of his body, and always comes into the season in tip-top shape. He's going to be able to do just that and will come into camp in good shape, unlike Deebo Samuel last year, which was a little bit unfortunate, but credit to Deebo for actually owning up to that. If you didn't get your questions answered here on this mailbag, Follow me, Twitter, Instagram, at Chase_senior. It's the same handle on both social media platforms. Don't be a stranger. Slide in the DM, say what's up, and join us on Sunday for our Niners-Raiders watch party.